Hey, it's Bob Baker here saying welcome to part 6 of 30 Ways to Become an Empowered Artist. Thank you so much for watching and listening to these. Thanks for commenting and sharing them with your friends. Thanks for supporting the fan funding campaign that's sort of related to this series. As you may know by now, I'm planning to publish a book called The Empowered Artist. It's a call to arms. If that sounds a little bit too militaristic for you, let's say it's a call to action for musicians, for visual artists, for writers, for creative entrepreneurs of all kind to take back their power and to step into the role that artists play in our society, which is one of value and culture and a meaningful contribution to society. Stop playing small. Stop buying into the notion of the starving artist and the struggling artist and don't quit your day job and blah, 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 blah. It's a movement to wake up creative people like you and remind you of the power and the value that you have to offer the world. Sound good? Are you with me? Cool. So if you're watching this before July 2nd, 2014, click the link somewhere below or on the page here and find out more about the campaign and how you can support it. I would love your help in doing so. Otherwise, let's move on to part 6. This one's all about defeating or banishing or obliterating something that I call the perfection curse. Ooh, it sounds like voodoo, doesn't it? Well, maybe it is. What I'm talking about is that thing that might be stopping you from getting your art, your creativity out into the world because you don't think it's good enough yet. You know, it's fine to want to put out a quality product and to dot your I's and cross your T's and whatever else you do with letters and words. That's all fine and dandy, but at some point you gotta get this thing out into the world. Seth Godin says you gotta ship it, which means get it out the door and into the world. But so many people that I've run into over the years are held back by it's not good enough. I got to make my book the complete guide to, everything in the universe, or the album just needs these final finishing touches. I'm waiting for such and such to be added to the mix. I got to tweak it just a little bit more before it's perfect. And oh my God, just finish the thing for God's sakes and get it out there. Some artists, they want to wait for the stars to align, for all their ducks to be in a row. Luckily, I've never had ducks or worried about how they align themselves. I just got my stuff out there and then kept doing it over and over again, getting more stuff out there. So I know there's a lot of debate. I have friends on both sides of the fence here. They're like editors and designers and people in the music business who will try to scare you into, if it's not perfect, and the first impressions mean everything. And yeah, I get that. You want to make it as good as possible, but at some point, get the thing out there. Just believe me, you're not going to reach epic empowered artist status until you can break through this perfection curse. And these days, it's easier than ever to get something out there in an initial form and then tweak it and get it out again. For instance, when you're dealing with digital products like books or albums, you don't have to do a huge print run or manufacturing run these days. Back in the old days, you had to print like 3,000 to 5,000 books just to get your first book out there. And if you realized there were mistakes or you wanted to update something, you had a whole, garage full of books that were going to sit there and gather dust because now you're not happy with them. These days, you can publish 10 of them and get them in the reader's hands, get feedback, and then tweak the file and upload it and print another 50. There's not as much at risk, especially when you're going this digital route. Maybe your field is a little bit different, but I think you know where I'm going here. In fact, these days I compare getting your stuff out into the world very much to like the method that a software company uses. They usually put out an initial beta version of something with some testers or with their early adopters. They get feedback on it, then they make some tweaks and they roll it out to a wider audience. They get more feedback, they play around with features, they make it better, they work out the bugs, roll it out to a wider audience. Could you do that with your own creative output? There's another concept that people have been talking about in recent years, and this is something that's referred to as an MVP. No, not most valuable player. It was something that was brought up in the book called The Lean Startup. And in that book, MVP stands for Minimum Viable Product. So these new companies would get out a simple, basic version, like the minimum viable product that people could actually use and test. Quite often it's software, but not necessarily. You could apply the same concept, again, to a music album, to a book, to whatever. And then, like I mentioned earlier, they would get feedback, they would improve it, People have even applied this concept in the world of film, which you would think was not something that this would be possible, but actually the film Napoleon Dynamite started off as a short that was shown at film festivals, and then it was picked up and made into a major motion picture. So this works in all sorts of levels and all sorts of creative fields. So again, let me emphasize, I'm not saying dumb down your product or put out crappy work or don't hire an editor if you're a writer or whatever. Strive for excellence. You know, I talked about achieving mastery in part 2, I believe, and that is something that you should strive for. Make your product as good as it possibly can, and at some point you got to say, okay, this is ready. I got to get my hands off of it and actually let this thing loose. Let the kids out of the house or the birds fly out of the nest or whatever metaphor you want to use. And get the damn thing out there. Because believe me, no matter what you do, no matter how much you go over and dot the T's and the I's and make it as perfect as possible, 6 months, a year from now, heck, maybe even 2 weeks from now, you're going to look back at it and go, oh, I should have tweaked that. I mean, that's just part of being an artist, and it's okay to have that perfectionist quality, but you got to let go of it if you're going to be prolific, if you're truly going to be empowered and make an impact in the world. So please, please break through this perfection curse. Do not become a victim of it. Do not let it stop you from sharing your gifts with the world. What do you think? I'd love to know your thoughts on this perfection curse topic, or maybe the software model that I talked about there. There should be a way to leave a comment on the page here. There also should be some ways to share this video or this page with your friends on Facebook, on Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, plus whatever social media platform you happen to be hanging on right now. And while you're at it, let people know about the fan funding campaign that runs up until July 2nd, 2014. I would love your support. I would love for you to share it with other creative people, share this video series with them. You can contribute to this mission for as little as $10. It's really easy. Just click to the link somewhere here and you can find out more about that. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm Bob Baker saying so long for now. Be back with part 7, I believe it is, tomorrow. So long.